Hi guys, it's me Ty here, and today I'm going to talk about what happened during the Khmer Rouge, like the real story. And this is coming from somebody that actually lived through it, because one of my buddies here, he's 68 years old, and he was one of the refugees that fled the country when he was like 18 or 19, because they murdered his family. So I just visited with him tonight about it here in Cambodia, and like I said, that generation, like I said, he's 68, and who knows how old, and he was one of the young ones, like 18 or 19, and it won't be many years, and that generation might all be dead, and we won't get to hear the story of what really happened, because he who wins the war gets to write the history books. So, so tonight he was telling me, I went ahead and I asked him, I was like, since you were one of the people that fled and your family was murdered, what really happened? Because I never like I don't know, I just read a little bit about it. We didn't really learn about it in history when I was like in high school and stuff like that, just on the internet when I was here, different people's stories, but they were more from foreigners than actually from the Khmer people. And he speaks really good English. So he's like, "Yep, I'll tell you what happened." He's like, "It all started in 1970." He said during the Vietnam War, um, the United States found out that weapons and supplies were being supplied to Vietnam, and whoever was supplying them was using a path through like northern Cambodia, and the United States decided to bomb the shit out of it, and they decimated this country is what happened, which of course I mean the stuff was killing the U.S. soldiers and everything over there in Vietnam, but like I said, it almost feels like this country was kind of like they didn't really do anything wrong. It was just people were going through their country. And so after that happened, after the bombings here in Cambodia, their government had pretty much become decimated over here. And the Khmer Rouge, they were the Red Communist Party here. They were supported by Russia, China, and North Korea. They decided and they told everybody in the country, they're like, we want to rebuild the government here, and we want everybody to, come in and bring your knowledge. I mean, it sounded like they were good, and they just told everybody, come help us rebuild this government. We want anybody that has any experience and all that. So the people that were very well educated and everything, they all came into the cities, and they were actually loaded into a truck, a big truck, and they locked the doors behind them, and they took them out to a big rice field, which here in Asia, a rice field is like a pond or a dam. It's got big dikes around it, lots of water in it. And they unloaded those people and they forced them to run out into those rice fields, and there was explosive devices in there. And when the people would step on them, they would blow them up. So that's how a lot of these educated people were killed. And then others, um, they died of starvation or of disease too. And he said that, and I was like, did this only happen here in the capital city of Phnom Penh? And he's like, nope. He's like, all the cities here in Cambodia, Battambang, all of them, the Khmer Rouge was in each of them. And he said the city that he was born and raised in, it started with a P or whatever. I thought it was over by Battambang. And he said the Khmer Rouge, they came into the city and they told all the people, they're like, just leave all your belongings behind. They're like, just grab your bare necessities like a backpack, and we want you guys to go out into the countryside, the rice fields, for a month, because the United States, we got intelligence that the United States is going to bomb this city. So everybody went ahead and they did what they said, and they said that after 1 month we should be safe to all come back in the city. So they all fled the city out to the countryside or whatever. Well, there was one individual uh, that was close to his family, and he kept saying, he's like, I want to get back in the city. Is I don't know if it was maybe after a month or whatever. It might have been after a month. He's like, I want to get my stuff or whatever. He was worried about people stealing it. And the soldiers, the Khmer Rouge soldiers, they said, no, no, sir, you can't come in the city. You got to stay out in the countryside. The U.S. There's still a chance they could bomb the city. And the guy kept kind of pushing on the soldier, he's like, please, please, I just want to go in for a few minutes and grab my stuff out of my house. And the soldier pulled out his gun and shot the man right in front of everybody. And the soldier said, don't nobody move this body. This body is going to stay right here in the street so everybody knows that when we say something, you listen. And my buddy, how was it? Um, so some of the people that got loaded on like the in the trucks and everything were his dad and his brother, because his dad was a architect or was like an architect, and his brother was an engineer. So they were considered some of the smart people. So they went to the city and they were loaded into the truck. And my buddy said that when all this happened, like everything was like kept silent, because it was like uh, with Hitler and everything with the Nazis, everybody, you don't know who's with the Khmer Rouge. So you were afraid to say anything or speak out to one of your friends in your little group, because one of them might go back to the Khmer Rouge and tell them, and then they're going to come and murder you. And my buddy, uh, he was one of the educated people too, but I don't know if they knew it or not. But like I said, he was younger, because he didn't flee to the United States until he was 20 years old. But he's like, yeah, they wanted to murder me. So he's like, I was one of the guys that got sent out to the rice fields. And he's like, one of my cousins was with me too. And the Khmer Rouge, they were trying to reteach all the people out there. And they said, we're not going to rely on the weather for crops anymore. We want to dig canals and everything through the rice fields and through the crops, so that they'll all get moisture or whatever. And he said his brother or his cousin was a little different or whatever. And he, like the next day or whatever, he told everybody, he's like, or he told one of the soldiers, uh, he's like, actually, I think the crops grew better when we relied on the weather. And he didn't like let it go. Like every freaking day, he would say like some smart ass remark like that. And um, one day, my buddy woke up at their encampment or whatever that they were kept at with the rice fields, and his cousin was gone, just had disappeared. They made him disappear, and that's when my buddy knew that things were serious, because like he didn't know about his dad and brother. He just thought that they were going to aid the government and helping to rebuild the government. And but like I said, with his cousin there, that's what set it off, and he was so scared. So he went ahead. He said that he went ahead and he ran into the jungle and was on his hands and knees, just hiding from these people. And and he was able to make it to the Thailand border, and he escaped into Thailand, and they put him in a refugee camp there. And for like an entire year or 2 years, they kept them there. And uh, the thing about him is he could speak really good English. So they used him as an interpreter between all the Cambodian refugees and the U.S. government and all them to to help with all these refugees. And so at the age of 20 years old, they flew him to the United States. They flew him to, I believe it was Boston, is where he grew up a little bit there. And then he would move down to Texas for his 44-year career. And now that he retired, he moved back here to Cambodia. Um, so that's what happened. And then I asked him also, like, how was the Khmer Rouge driven out? And he said what happened is one of the soldiers, they didn't agree with what the Khmer Rouge was doing, or it was one of the old soldiers. They went ahead and they ran across the border into Vietnam, and they begged the Vietnamese army to come here and save Cambodia. And the Vietnamese army has always been very strong. And they came out here, and he said they drove out the Khmer Rouge like nothing. And in exchange, they um, they got some of the land. And he said that back in the day, and like I've heard like from a lot of the high schoolers around here being a teacher and stuff like that, they said that Cambodia used to be a monstrous empire back in the day, but when it got divided up, um, like between Vietnam and Thailand and all them took some of the land out of here. And he said that's why in so many of these countries that border Cambodia, that those people, like a lot of them, like half of the population in like Thailand or something, that they actually speak Khmer. And he said Khmer, the Khmer Rouge, where that name comes from, he's like this is Cambodia, not Khmer or whatever. But how the Khmer Rouge did that was um, like the Khmer, they were like an ethnic group here or whatever, and it's just a language or whatever, and they decided to use that name. So, um, can't think of any more about it, but I just, like I said, I just wanted you guys to hear the story of someone that actually lived through it before that whole generation passes away. And like, I even think about my grandpa, like him living as a child through the Great Depression. And I'm so glad that in like history class that our history teacher made us interview all of our grandparents that lived through the Great Depression and hear their stories before that generation passes away, in which now my grandpa's passed away, and I'm very glad that I got to hear those his stories firsthand about that. About so, all right, if you guys like this content, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll just keep kicking out these videos from Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and then also every once in a while I'll have my like repair videos and like I said, this whole channel is based on saving you guys money so you guys can have a better life. So, all right, take care, you guys. Bye.